The admission by one of this country's most notorious killers that he'll re-offend if released from jail has raised the issue of how we rehabilitate serious offenders. George Baker was sentenced yesterday to 16 years preventive detention for attacking a fellow inmate and a prison guard. Baker told the court he'd probably kill people if he was freed. He's already serving a life sentence for murdering 17-year-old Liam Ashley in the back of a prison van in 2006. So, what does that mean for society? Do we take Baker at his word, lock him up and throw away the key? And how do we address our soaring imprisonment rates? Longer sentences, rehabilitation, or looking at the causes? Well, earlier I talked to social worker Carey Ewing from Prisoner and Reintegration Service Pathway Trust. We began by discussing George Baker and whether he's beyond help.
Well, no, I wouldn't say anybody's beyond help. They're going to need to want to be helped, and it may not be the right time for that to occur for Mr. Baker at this time, but people change, and time is an important factor there.
Is it just time, or is it, I mean, once he's in prison, I mean, 16 years preventive detention, what will be done for him? Will he receive rehabilitation services?
Well, no, he'll likely to receive very little initially. We tend to focus what programs we do have until the final third or the final part of an individual sentence.
Why is that?
It's considered that that's the best value that you can get from the programs, is to focus that on when you are more likely to know someone's about to get out rather than at the early stages of their sentence.
OK, best value, but is it the best strategy?
I think that it is best in all cases to work with someone when they're ready to make change, regardless of whether that may be at the beginning of their sentence or towards the end of their sentence.
OK,
Again,
what's your view of prison then? What's your view of prison then, Carey? Is it to simply serve your time, or is it to rehabilitate?
I believe that prison, to serve our community, our society, should be focused upon both. There certainly needs to be an element of punishment, but if that is all you do, then all we do is create monsters and difficult people that return to our communities. OK,
so waiting for somebody to be ready to be rehabilitated then might not necessarily work.
Well, you can only rehabilitate someone who wishes to make positive changes.
But should we be making those services more readily available? Because, of course, we've heard of cases where prisoners, inmates are asking for services and they can't get them.
Oh, it certainly wouldn't hurt to have more programs, to have more services available. And yes, I'm certainly aware of cases where individuals are waiting for extended periods of time.
Is that good enough?
I don't think it's serving our communities well.
OK. Nearly half of released prisoners re-offend within 12 months. 37% end up back in prison. Why is that? I mean, are these people simply committed criminals, or is there not enough going on in prison to rehabilitate them?
Yes. Well, remember that you know, we put people increasingly in higher numbers than ever before into an environment which is a highly toxic environment. I mean, they live with 60 other criminals in an intensive space, and then we have an expectation they'll walk out of that environment back into our community reformed. The logic of simply increasing prison sentences with the hope that they will be increasingly reformed fails me. That is, every piece of research has shown that. We as a society have continually demanded of our government to give us longer sentences, but that is not what will make us a safer community to live in.
What will? What's the answer?
Having access to drug and alcohol resources, having opportunity to be a part of programs that will challenge your thinking and your understanding, dealing with past hurts. A third to half of all prisoners have been abused as children. I mean, one of the truest things I know is hurt people will hurt. And until we deal with some of those hurts, they will continue to come out and not feel to be a part of our communities and our society. OK,
so stop having the ambulance at the bottom of the cliff. That's the answer. Get people before they begin offending.
Absolutely. And then when you do have them in a controlled environment such as prison, I'd be flooding that places with counsellors, with therapists, getting in there and seeking to learn what is driving this individual's behaviour.
With the situation as it is, obviously there needs to be something done to service people who are coming back out into society. The
Yes.
Parole Board Chair, Judge Sir David Carruthers, wants to see halfway houses introduced
Yes.
to help with that reintegration into society. Is that a good idea?
I think it's a fantastic idea. In Canada, I believe they have over 400 of those halfway houses, and they have half the re-offending rate within itself. The moving from prison back into our society is a huge transition, and largely we do that, we expect most of our inmates to do that unsupported. We take them from one environment that is highly structured, highly controlled, and we just move them out the door. If you can solve the basics of somewhere to live, somewhere to be, food, and people who take an interest in you, I'm sure that that would make a huge difference. I mean, we've seen that make a difference in the work that we're doing down here.
And that was social worker Carey Ewing from Pathways.